Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to have David Schulman, who I consider a friend and a mentor, with us today for Coffee Chat. Mel and I couldn't be happier than to have Dave guide us, give us advice, maybe a little bit of tough love, but be there as a gentleman who's had a lot of experience in technology and association space. Dave, what was your description of how long you've been doing this?
Way too long. No, so at least 3 decades.
At least 3 decades. So
We'll stop there. Yeah.
So we're pleased to have an affiliation with Dave and work on projects together, and he shares tremendous advice, very generous. And so what we want to do today in our coffee chat, this is no surprise to folks who've been with us, is talk about, Dave, what do you do and why you're passionate about it? And this is an easy conversation for you and I to have because you are so passionate about it and you do really care. And then, as all of you know, we'll talk about the three things that Dave thinks that association leaders need to know. And in this time of great change, I can't wait to hear what he has to say. So with that, Dave Schulman, thank you for the conversation today.
Joe, thanks for inviting me to the chat. This is fun. And my best to Mel. I have been involved in technology, as Joe said, for over 3 decades. I've conceived, launched, built, and sold 2 companies. I've been with a bunch of startups, but I've always been in technology. And because we had one of the largest MSPs in the DC area back in the 80s, 90s, and early aughts, we had a lot of association clients. And I became very fond of associations, not just for business reasons, but I sort of felt their pain. Associations are all small businesses, and they've got a tough time of it because now that we are moving, whether we like it or not, by hook or crook, into full bore digital transformation. I hate to use that term because it's so
a lot. Doesn't mean
ridiculous, but all it really means is being able to conduct your business online, right? And associations, they're not like most small businesses. They're not dying to jump into the next new shiny object, and so they're a little reticent when it comes to discussions that talk about, you need to do this. And I've been preaching the value of, in my mind, for small businesses, digital is like a giant overstuffed bluebird of happiness that has just landed in associations' laps over a decade ago, and nobody's been paying attention. This is an opportunity for new forms of non-dues revenue, for new engagement practices and strategies that you can deploy for access to new markets. You're no longer talking to the people in the room. You're no longer talking to the people in your metropolitan area. You're no longer talking to people in your country. You have a global reach, and digital is what allows you to do that. So, there's a lot of folks in the association space that have been waiting for this whole computer fad to pass. And I'm here to tell you, I wouldn't be holding my breath on that one.
So, because I want to follow up on the comment you made. You said it landed in their laps and they just weren't doing anything with it. And now you've said you still think people are thinking this fad's going to pass. Can you dig into that a little bit?
Well, some of them are, but what happened is COVID showed up to the party with a Louisville Slugger and made the point that your business model is going to change with the help of that little tool they brought. And a lot of associations kind of got blindsided by it and went, wait a minute, what do you mean no more in-person events for the foreseeable future, or not going to be as strong? And there were 2 camps. There was those that embraced it and said, okay, we got to do more online. And there were those who battened down the hatches and said, we're going to wait for this storm to pass and we'll get back to normal.
And what did you see with the ones who decided to batten down the hatches?
I think the ones that batten down the hatches, some of them, they split camps. Some of them realized, we'll get back some, but we're never going to be what we were. It's never going to be as robust in person as it was. And I'm saying, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You're here, you've arrived, you need to embrace this.
Right. No, and I love the fact that it's like it was a situation happened that nobody saw coming, or most people didn't see coming, and a lot of people didn't want, and some people said, wait a minute, and obviously you helped a lot of people through this. Wait a minute, here's the chance to revolutionize the business the way the visionaries had said maybe we should try, and you are being one of those visionaries. So I really appreciate that kind of distinction, because COVID did present that Louisville Slugger. And of course, for those of you who don't know, Dave is originally from Chicago, and so that metaphor is quite useful. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. So let's get back to this notion of what are 3 things you think association leaders should know?
Oh boy, there's a lot more than 3.
Okay.
But one is the whole Moore's Law thing. I don't know if you all remember that, but I know you do, Joe, where everything was going to get, to oversimplify it, everything was going to be twice as fast and twice as powerful. Originally, they said every 18 months. Now it's every year. And actually, as in recent months, in the last year, with AI coming into the picture, that whole Moore's Law thing's gotten dwarfed and tossed out the window as being irrelevant, because AI has been a force multiplier way beyond Moore's Law. We're now like 40, 50, 100 times more powerful and more robust and faster than we were before because of this new tool. So the problem that Moore's Law presents, there's a problem and an opportunity. The problem is that, well, it's multiple. You cannot use yesterday's lens to look at today's technology. And by that, I mean, all of us in the association sector have gotten used to software being like a shrink wrap product on a shelf, right? And we go around and we look at the different packages and see which one we like, and we go, okay, we're going to buy that. You know, it doesn't work that way anymore. The problem with putting your own association online is everybody's unique. No 2 associations run the exact same way. And yes, you can get into cookie cutter AMS software that'll be dirt cheap and simple and easy to onboard, but you're going to be in a box. And the box might fit today, although I think most people make compromises that they don't truly appreciate what the cost of those compromises are from a business standpoint, but they do it so that that's handled in the software, and they figure they're cutting costs. So cost cutting is good, right? But you're cutting costs or cutting off your nose to spite your face, because you're cutting corners so you can fit in this cookie cutter model, but your business doesn't belong there. Your business is going to evolve and grow with your member community, whether it's a profession or an industry, what have you. You need to be able to have software that adapts to you, not the other way around. And everybody goes, oh my God, well, I can't afford to go out and buy Salesforce and build something, or go out and buy Microsoft CRM and build something. I'm not suggesting that. All I'm suggesting is whatever you do, pick products that are open. Whether it's open source, so anybody can help support you, or built on a platform so that other partners in the ecosystem of the platform can come help you. You do not want to be handcuffed to a specific vendor. Those days should be over, because you are not like anybody else. And you do not want to be like anybody else, because that's going to mean compromise.
Right. So then as we look at the evolution of platforms, like we've got, kind of bespoke, most people can't afford that. We've got open platforms that are evolving, and then we've got platforms that are evolving towards an open API and saying, hey, we got this built-in functionality, but if you want to plug in a MailChimp or something else, you can. And that's really what you're suggesting is your business needs need to determine what your choice is.
Right.
At the level.
And always err on the side of more options.
All right.
Not on the side of fewer. Because the problem is, I start talks with association community members at ASAE conferences or what have you, And I used to do this. I haven't done it recently because I know the answer already. But I'd say everybody raise your hand who hates their AMS, right? Everybody in the room. Everybody in the room. Maybe there's 3 or 4 exceptions who just bought a new AMS and they don't even know what it does yet. They're too sheepish to raise their hands. But everybody knows their AMS hates it, right? And the reason is it's the wall of the box. You're hitting a boundary, or you're calling the vendor and they start the meter running, and it's just you're caught between a rock and a hard place and you can't do anything. You're trying to figure out, my business is changing, but my platforms are not.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do?
Right.
So, if you go into you talked about open API, and that's what everybody preached a decade ago or more, and they still preach it for the older, long past their shelf life software that's still out there, because there are very few options. Open API, I don't know about you, but I've had enough experience working with these companies that when you try and write something to the API and then it doesn't work, you get them on the phone, and then 5 minutes later you hear them go, "Try it now," and you're like, "Wait a minute." What's going on here? What do you mean, try it now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, this is, you speak of the ecosystem, and to me, this is part of, if you're going to pick a platform or a tool set, whatever, do your homework and know that there is an ecosystem. Know that there is, I mean, and I kind of preach it to the choir, right? I mean, this is what we do, solutions providers, but we also know, to your point, that and we preach this, strategies decay. And the reason you bought something at one point in time, your world has changed 3-4 years ago, right? So then the question is, can you re-implement? Can you add on? What do you do? Or have you hit that external boundary where it's just like, this thing isn't going to support multi-currencies and multi-bank accounts around the world, or whatever is the deal breaker. And you can't take your eyes off of it. You're changing business, I guess, is what I'm interpreting is what you're saying.
Exactly. And this is back to what I was saying about Moore's Law before, changing everything so rapidly, and now it's beyond exponential. Well, I don't know if there is such a thing as beyond exponential, but it's fast. Let's put it that way. And it's not just technology that's changing, because the ripple effect is that everything is changing that fast.
Right. Right.
And it's pretty hard to, go buy a prefix widget and say, yeah, that's going to suit me for the next 3 to 5 years. You have no idea what business you're going to be in 3 years from now. How do you know that's going to fit you?
So then, and we're kind of devolving from our, 3 things you got to know to it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
No,
yes,
that's all right, because then what you're now going into our territory of serious change, where we're advocating just be ready for change all the time and make sure your team's ready for change.
Bingo.
Then you start to work with your platforms and say, are we seeing what we need to see out of our email campaigns, or can we do text messaging now, or whatever is the way we're engaging the new cohort that's coming into hopefully our radar, because we're paying attention to boomers leaving and Gen X, Y, Z's coming in, that we can serve them too.
Exactly. And change is going to be, not only is it going to be constant, but the frequency and pace of that change is going to increase exponentially. And they've done studies to show that humans have no ability to grasp exponential change. We don't. We just can't understand it. And they've done all these studies and asked questions, and people are like, if you've got some kind of algae that doubles itself every 24 hours, and it's taken 6 months for a pond to get half filled with this algae, how long is it going to take for the whole pond to be full? And everybody's like, oh, I don't know, what, another month, another 6 weeks or whatever? No, I said it doubles every night. So if it's half filled now, tomorrow is the answer. Nobody gets that. Nobody gets that. Anyways, all right. So yesterday's lens. Operations, and this is the hardest one, because the staff is coming to you screaming for technology because they want help doing their jobs, right? Well, guess what? Speeding up operations is table stakes. You do not want to be going to buy software to run your association membership business on, because it makes your staff's jobs easier. That's not the only goal. Now, the future is spoken. And the future of your business is going to be played on a digital playing field. So don't think that just speeding up your staff's job is going to help get you where you need to go. You need stronger engagement, online engagement tools that your members depend upon to do their jobs, whether it be in a given profession or a given industry, to make their jobs easier, to mitigate the problems they face. That's part of it. You have a question there?
No, I'm just kind of processing, and what I'm thinking about is, I mean, you're right. We've preached efficiency for a long time. We've done the business process models, 36 handoffs, 5 or 6 lanes of engagement down to 4 handoffs, and less people, you get something done faster, right? But it's that question of, what do your members need to do their jobs every day that makes you really valuable? And it could be any number of things, information sharing or continuing education, or
or lead generation, or any number of stuff, or a job board. I mean, there's a zillion opportunities, low-hanging fruit out there for added non-dues. And these are not all things you need to give away for what you're charging today, folks. These are things that you can incrementally charge for. I have clients that have been given away membership directory lookups for years, and when they converted to their new systems, we gave them monetized membership directories where everybody's in the directory. But those that pay for premium placements show up above the fold with more pictures and more text and multimedia and whatever else it is that they want. And those associations have increased revenue by $500,000 or more a year of non-dues revenue just for that.
Wow. Well, and we've got a client in the UK that keeps track of major government contracts for renewable energy. And that tool that keeps track of all of these bids that are going to be let is so valuable to their industrial renewable energy clients that why would you leave? It's all right there. You don't have to go from,
You're feeding your members business.
Yes.
Right? And that's what it's about. I have a client that has a job board that, everybody can post their jobs, but this group makes $3.4 million a year on their job board for premium placements of job listing.
Good for them.
Okay. And it cost them virtually nothing to get there. If you want to know more, call me.
Here's my QR code, scan here.
so and then hand in hand with that, my third and final thing is what I would admonish executive directors and CEOs to do is not only just don't use the old lens, and focus on value, not operations, but building value. But the final piece is really, because everything is changing so fast, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Always, your destination is not a gorgeous product, but an MVP, a minimum viable product. And the reason why you don't want to build a monolith to the way you think the solution should be handled today and spend a fortune building it is because tomorrow it's going to change.
Yeah. So appreciate that. And people who know us have probably heard MVP way too many times, because we're always trying to shrink the scope so we can deliver something and keep moving. And I couldn't agree more. So everybody, Dave Schulman, thank you so much. I want to go through his 3 top points. Don't view the world through yesterday's lens. You've heard us talk about strategic decay. You can't do that anymore. Build value for your members. And Dave, I think you said it really well. Feed your members business. Oh, brilliant. And then MVP is your destination, because it's going to change so fast. If you just get there, you'll accomplish something. Any other comments, Dave?
No, I love it. I just want you to keep in the back of your mind that we're no longer working on the HVAC system in the basement. This whole computer thing is moved front and center stage, right in the middle of the spotlight. And you pretend otherwise at your own demise.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I still love the joke that this whole internet thing is just going to blow over one of these days. we're living there now forever.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
excellent. Dave,
So
thank you so
thank
much
you.
for the time. And then, look, just keep having fun and, keep doing what you're doing. I really appreciate it. All
It
right.
is a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.